Let's get caught up on some feedback. Then I want to bring King in on this. Is there a match between Detroit and Baltimore to help each team solve a problem? Regarding Dylan Larkin, 100% knew Larkin would be back, but if he's captain, it would be pathetic. He's not a leader. He disappears in crunch time and throws his team and GM under the bus. It's from an unnamed texter. The team might agree with a lot of what he said. They might not say it as publicly, but the team might agree or might be as disappointed in the Red Wings organization as a whole as Larkin is. I absolutely want Larkin back, but put him where he belongs, second line center. The Wings need a true star on the first line. Who knows? He might just be welcomed back as a clubhouse hero. Stevie Y was not a big fan of the players. That's from Bob and Shelby. He might be welcomed back as a clubhouse hero. Stevie Y was not a big fan of the players. Do you mean the players weren't a big fan of Stevie Y? If that's the case, he might be welcomed back as a clubhouse hero. And I think everyone would agree. Having a player better than Dylan Larkin would be awesome to make a first-line center. Just all you got to do is go get one of those.
Yeah, just go get one.
and I'm not.
He is a first-line center.
Well, whether
is he a first-line
or
center for every team in the league? No, he wouldn't be for every team in the league, but for this team, he is, and that's the point people want to make is find someone better. Great, thanks.
If you can get someone better, that is awesome. Probably the best path to get someone better is including Dylan Larkin in a trade. And maybe sweetening the pot, I guess. But, I think everybody would love if Dylan Larkin was the second line center. And they had somebody better. He will stay and remain captain as his one last shot at Stevie. Players know whether it was or was not justified. They are all keeping mum because their captain did the heavy lifting and they don't want to tarnish Stevie any more than they need to. Conspiracy? Believe it, writes this unnamed texter. Larkin has been playing regularly with all the boys. No issues with his teammates. They understand. Stevie, it will never come out, cross the line with his treatment of Larkin. That's from Dave and Bancroft. Well, I'd like for that story to come out. 1, 2 is I was told about some scrimmages with Larkin and other Red Wings that were going on. Can't imagine that they would be going on with other Red Wings if there was really bad feelings, but. All right, Kang, this Baltimore possibility. You called the TeSlaa trade shot or draft shot, which was awesome, but you're right. It doesn't mean that you're like Mr. Isaac TeSlaa and how you're a Brad Holmes whisperer. What do you make of a possibility if Baltimore wants receiving help and they've got a third corner? Does it make sense TeSlaa being traded to Baltimore?
No, I think Larkin is right as far as it matches up in needs and excess players in that position, right? But I think in the end, being the Brad Holmes whisperer, I think I might be. I don't think Brad Holmes would do the trade because they would be asking for someone like Isaac TeSlaa. Now, the only way the deal would happen. By the way, I did like TJ Tampa coming out of the draft. I haven't done the deep dive and followed him exclusively since he got drafted, but I remember he was a bigger corner, and I think this is the year he might break out and takes rookies and young guys, especially middle round draft guys, a couple years to develop. Mm-hmm. So this might be the year for him. Same thing with TeSlaa, though. With that being said, I don't think Holmes would trade TeSlaa for TJ Tampa. Now, if he did entertain that means a couple things. One, they don't think TeSlaa's going to develop, or he hasn't shown enough like what they thought he would show, right? So they're ready to move on. I don't think that's the case. The other thing is maybe Tay Martin or Lovett they really like, and they're like, oh, we have something here where we can afford to lose a guy like TeSlaa, because I think Brad Holmes is the type of guy who's always, he thinks about the now, but he's always got one eye in the future, and he wants someone ready to go. And I think TeSlaa was that pick because they already had JMO, they had St. Brown. Dortch is going to come in and be able to play like the Khalif Raymond type role, return game as well. But in the end, just because it matches up with positions of need and excess players in that position, I don't think they want to give that player up, because it's not about the position, it's about the player, and I don't think they want to give up TeSlaa or anyone like that. Now, can I answer you on a Tom Kennedy? Yeah, I'll do that from our end, but of course, the Ravens going to be like, no thanks.
Has Brad Holmes traded away one of his picks? Has he done that yet as Red Wings, or as the Lions GM?
I don't think so. But let me have to go back.
They've rewarded.
They've released picks.
They've released some guys, but they haven't. I don't know if he's ever traded. and it feels like it takes a lot to release it. I mean, look, the Terry and Arnold situation, we understand.
Well, Hendon Hooker.
And Hooker, yeah, but he was going into that last year.
But they just straight up cut him.
Yeah, I get that too. But
they didn't trade Ife Melifonwu, did they?
Was he drafted by?
Yeah,
Holmes?
It was Holmes' first draft. Okay. And they didn't trade James Houston, right?
Nope.
Yeah, I don't
know if he's traded his guys. And would he? I mean, there's a first time for everything. But it feels like that they have pretty high hopes for Isaac TeSlaa.
Mm-hmm.
Of course he's not untouchable. It just doesn't seem like that's a Brad Holmes move that he would make is moving a guy from his roster.
Yeah, I mean, I am somewhat leery of something with Brad. And that is, I'm concerned that this guy who has put together some elite drafts and some not elite drafts, I'm concerned he has hard and fast rules. And I'm a little concerned he might fall in love with his own guys. Now, most of the guys that he has re-signed, I've been fully on board with. And I think his business model is why he's reluctant to give up draft picks. He knows he's going to have to pay for the best players, so he knows he's going to need as many draft picks as he can find to be able to afford to roster a quality football team. He's counting on his own ability to continue to draft well. But I think hard and fast rules in sports is foolish. And there are philosophies and things that you want to do, but given the way that every situation is different, there's so many nuances to every roster, to constructing every roster, to who you can keep and who you can't, to who you have accessibility to. Like one of the things I always used to believe, and then I got around teams and I realized it doesn't work that way, is, well, why don't you just go trade for a great corner? Just go trade for one. Well, who's giving you a great corner without severely damaging their own team? And they don't want your future assets right now. Like, I'm not surprised Baltimore doesn't want draft picks. Baltimore is trying to win too. And in the NFL, just about everybody's trying to win now. Just about. There's very few long-term 5-year plans anymore. And so, you can't always have accessibility to the player you want. I am concerned about Brad having some hard and fast rules, which he shouldn't. He shouldn't. Circumstances are different. Teams are different. But, I think trading TeSlaa for somebody who can come in and improve, would you give up the third receiver for somebody who would start for you at corner? I mean, that sounds,
I probably
in theory,
would,
yeah, wise.
But is this person going to start for you?
And what is there? Like, we're throwing out the name TJ Tampa and in Baltimore just because Jason La Canfora did. TJ Tampa could be a player they absolutely loved or didn't out of college. Because Brad Holmes still has all those scouting reports and all the people that they've ever evaluated. And it could have been one of their all-time favorites coming out, or he might have been a player that they had no interest in. So it's hard to say. But I do remember us talking quite a bit about TJ Tampa when he was coming out of, was Iowa State?
I think so, yeah.
Okay. He's a bigger guy. And, that just, if he had the right makeup, now they obviously love TeSlaa. That's why they took him. But I don't want you to trade a player you love for a player you didn't love.
They more than loved him. I mean, they gave up picks to go get TeSlaa.
Moved up to go get him.
Anyway, 248-539-9797.
But that doesn't mean you can't change your mind. That was then when they moved up and gave up capital to get him. Maybe a couple of years later, thinking maybe we shouldn't have done that. I'm not saying that's the case, but you can always be like, hey, you can divert, right? You can detour. It didn't work out. I see this guy working out better with us. Make a move. In the end, I think they like TeSlaa too much, and he's going to be on the team. And so if you want to go get a TJ Tampa or someone like that, you're going to have to find an alternate player or future capital to give up.
248-539-9797. Got some Michigan football stuff I want to get to today at 102. Phone calls and feedback. It is Karsch and Anderson here on 97.1.